I kindly request you to watch this video till end so that you can see how can we solve these very interesting problems. The first thing that you are going to understand is that U-substitution is whereby we are going to solve the complicated integrals. The integrals that cannot be solved unless we are going to use the U-substitution. The integral cannot be solved directly by using what? By using the indefinite integral, or let me say by integrating this. They cannot be solved directly, but unless we are going to use the U-substitution. So how can we use this U-substitution? The first thing that we are going to do in U-substitution, we are letting one of the variable to be U. After letting it to be U, so we have to differentiate this U. After differentiating this U, we have to find the value of dx. So let's take the first problem. It says that the integral of 2x x squared plus 1 cube dx. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I have to let this to be U. Because if I let this to be U, if I differentiate x squared, I will get 2x. At the end, this 2x will cancel 2x. Let me show you how it works. So I have to say let U to be equals to x squared plus what? Plus 1. And therefore du, which is the derivative of this function, I will have 2x, this is 0, dx, because I'm differentiating with respect to x. The next thing that I'm going to do, I have to find the value of dx. To find the value of dx, I have to say du it is equals to 2x dx. Then I have to divide both sides by 2x. 2x will cancel 2x. At the end, dx it is equals to du by 2x. I hope you get it. So I have to substitute those values into my integral. The integral says 2x bracket u, because I let this to be u, to the power of 3. What is dx? This is dx. Dx is the same thing as du by 2x. At the end, 2x will go with 2x. I will end with 2u of 3 d what? du. So after then, as you can see, I can be able to integrate this. If I am to integrate this, I'll have u to the third power, add 1, divide it by what? By 3 plus 1. Then I have to say plus constant of integration. So this is the same thing as u to the fourth power divided by the value of 4 plus what? Plus c. So after then, I have to substitute back the value of this u. So u should now be x squared plus 1 to the fourth power divided by what? 4 plus constant of integration, or I will say 1 over 4 x squared plus 1 fourth power plus what? Plus c. So this is a general solution to this integration, by using the U-substitution method. So let's see how can we solve the second problem. Or let's see whether we can do it here. So the second problem says the integral of x e to the what? E to the x squared. So what should I going to let as my what? My u. So there is no way that I will let this e to be u, and there is no way that I will let this x to be u, but I have to let this x squared to be u. So I have to say let u equals to x squared. What will be the derivative of this function u? So I have to say du should now be equals to 2x d what? dx, and I have to find dx. I have to say du equals to 2x dx by dividing both sides by what? By 2x. 2x will go with 2x. dx is the same thing as du by 2x. So I have to substitute them. I have to say my integral is the same thing as x e to the u. Then I have dx. Okay, sorry, here I have dx. I have dx. So I have to say this is dx. So what will be the dx? Dx is the same thing as du over what? Over 2x. At the end, x will go with x. I will left with e to the u. Then I have, this is the same thing as du by 2. And du by 2 is the same thing as 1 over 2 multiplied by du. So this should now be, I have 1 over 2. I have to factor it. I have to figure it out. 1 over 2 integral of e to u. I will left with only du. So at the end, this 1 over 2 integral of e to the u du, what should I going to get? We all know that the integral of e to the u is the same thing as e to the u, but don't forget with your constant. So at the end, let's say plus c as our constant of integration. At the end, I will say the final solution should now be 1 over 2. I have to say e. I have to get back the u, which is x squared. Then I have to say plus what? Plus c. So this is the general solution to this what? To this second problem. So going to the third question, says integral of 2x divided by x squared plus 5 dx. So I have to say, from this, I'm going to let the numerator or the denominator to be u or not. Which one should I going to let to be u? So I have to let this denominator to be u. I have to say let u equals to x squared plus 5 and du equals to 2x. If I differentiate x squared, I will get 2x. Differentiate constant, I will get 0, and I have to put dx. So I have to find dx. If I said du equals to 2x dx, I have to divide both sides by 2x. This is 2x. This is 2x. When 2x cancel 2x, at the end, dx should now be du by 2x. Then I have to substitute the integral of 2x divided by u, because I let this to be u. Then dx which is du by 2x. So as you can see, 2x will go with 2x. At the end, I will get the integral of 1 over u du. An integral of 1 over u is the same thing as ln u plus the constant integration. I have to say ln u plus the constant of integration. So we all know that the value of u is this. At the end, the final solution to this question will now be ln of x squared plus 5 plus constant of integration. So this is the end of this question, this third question. So let's see the fourth question. The fourth question says integral of 3x plus 1 to the 5th power. Which one should I going to let to be u? I have to let this 3x plus 1 to be u. So this should now be, I have to say let 3x plus 1, let u equals to 3x plus 1. What will be the du? The derivative of this will now be 3, as you can see. If I differentiate this, this should now become what? It should now become 3. d what dx. By dividing both sides, du equals to 3 dx. It is all the same procedure. So I have to look for the value of dx by dividing both sides by the dx. Okay, sorry, by dividing both sides by 3. 3 will go with 3. At the end, my dx should now be equals to du by 3. So as you can see, the next thing that I'm going to do, I have to substitute integral of what? U to the 5th power dx. And what will be the value of this dx? Which is what? Du by 3. And it is the same thing as saying, this du by 3 is the same thing as 1 over 3 du. So I have to factor out this 1 over 3. And therefore I will have u to the 5th power, then I'll have only du. So it is very easy to integrate this. To integrate this, I'll say 1 over 3 outside, integrate this, I'll have u to the 5th power and add 1 to it, and over also 5 plus 1, plus what? Plus the constant of integration. So this is the same thing as saying 1 over 3 u to the 6th power divided by what? 6 plus constant of integration. So as you can see, I'm almost to the end of the solution. I have to say 1 over, but this and this are the same, so I can say 3 multiplied by 6, which is 18. 1 over 18 u to the 6th power plus constant of integration, it is equals to 1 over 18 u to what? Okay, I have to substitute the value of u. What will be the value of u? I said 3x. So I have to say 3x plus 1 plus the constant of integration, or you can say 3x plus 1 all over 18 plus the constant of integration, or you can say this. But don't forget, you have the power of 6, power of 6, power of 6. So guys, this is the end of this class. U-substitution integration by using the U-substitution method. If this video is more helpful to you, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and do share to your learning colleagues so that they will know more about it. Have a nice day. Don't forget to comment and ask questions.